Officer, what brings you up here in the rain? Ah, yes. The night before I saw you in the hallway and reminded you you're a police officer. Wow. Elysium. You don't hear that term often. There was the usual ruckus. Loud disco music. I can't say. Probably not. Sounded like you were flying solo. Oh, yes. Various artists. Ostentatious orchestrations prime among them.
Oh, that? Yeah. Whoa. The less said about OO, the better.
Oh, were huge where I come from. I was very young then, of course, like 7. Life gets hard, but we go on. I don't know about that. At around 2 o'clock, the disco stopped and there was a change of pace. A slow, sad song started playing, like organ music on repeat. That went on for quite a while. Some of that time you were yelling along to it. That it doesn't matter anymore and that we're alone now. It was difficult to tell. The song itself was very quiet and soft, but you sounded like a wounded boar, sir. It was hard to understand what you were singing on top of it. Don't be. I was going out later anyway. It didn't bother me. Then you started screaming and trashed the place. No, it didn't sound like there was a fight. It sounded like someone was trashing their room. A window was smashed, the tape player probably, the song stopped. And furniture too. A real destructathon. There was screaming. Then I think you passed out. There was. I think you screamed that you didn't want to be this type of animal anymore. I may have misheard, but it was sort of memorable. I went out afterwards. Everything was quiet by then. Around 4 or 5. And that was it. No problem, sir.
Yes?
Again? I can't believe this shit.
I'm not getting involved in this.
It's not my style, he thinks, glancing at the man in sunglasses and the woman beside him. Oh boy, they're mad at him. No wonder. He just doesn't recognize them.
Yes, it's a hobby of mine.
As if waiting for some kind of reaction or response. Something to click. It's not.
I'm going to say no, just to see what you'll say to that. What'd you say? God fucking shit.
Okay, I was clearly wrong. He is a firefighter, male nurse, animal.
still here, stuck in this damn jam, my man. What's up?
Wait, there's something here, stored away in some dusty corner. It starts like...
Whoa. What else? Silent communion. That's good. Dang, that's some great shit. You came up with that yourself.
Or did you learn it in school? More importantly, who can prove if you did? Go with it. You deserve some acclaim.
No matter. Great verses like that sometimes. Ephemeral. You might not look it. Seems you have some literary chops. Maybe there's hope for me yet. Just messing with you. It's cool. You're an okay guy. For a cop. They're more often into fists than rhymes, see? Let alone honesty in verse.
The lieutenant looks at you in silence, a curious look in his eyes, nodding slightly.
Well, you've given me some hope, I guess.
You found some common ground with this man, even impressed him. The next time you look in the mirror, though, remember those words. The paintbrush in your hand is like a loaded revolver. What will it be, Desperado? Quite a few things come to mind. The lieutenant looks at the wall in dismay.
But we are the police. But why? We work 12-hour shifts. We get shot at, spat on.
You've spoken. The wall will now silently repeat the message for a decade or so, until the sea air degrades the paint.
Officer, care to play a game with the lonely old man? Actually, never mind. Wouldn't be the same. The prick is gone. I can barely believe it, but he's really gone. Hell, most likely, he was an absolute cunt. His hungry little heart finally gave out. The dock workers found him in the guard booth this morning. Wasn't even supposed to be working for another week, but he just had to prove how tough he is.
Did he feel like he has to prove he can still pull his weight? Doesn't need handouts?
Guess he was about to head home, 'cause when the dock workers found him, he was wearing civilian clothes and not the Coquette uniform I saw him in all the time. Sometimes I thought he was wearing it just to piss me off. Now the joke's on him, 'cause he's gonna be buried without it. No, René was the most stubborn man in Revachol. Nothing you or I could say would ever push him to do anything. The man was completely immovable. I repeat, an absolute cant. Even his old army buddies didn't want him around. He was like an old viper. The only people who could stand to be around him were Jenny and me. She saw something in him when we were just kids and she never lost sight of it. And I thought if the most beautiful being in the world can love him, then there must be something worth holding on to. We've hated each other our entire lives. So much, in fact, that... Yes, I loved that angry prick. He didn't deserve it, but I did. You know what his last words to me were? In Guillaume's time, you'd have been shot without trial. That's what he said to me. He lived a cunt, and he died a cunt. Let's leave it at that. I took them for myself. Took them to remember that old cunt. Nobody knew him better than I did. And I want to remember that old cunt by something.
Strange how old cunt sounds almost gentle when he says it now.
Let me see. This was 60 years ago. We all went to that parade. Young René looked so happy, and Jenny... I'm sorry, officer. I just... Thank you. Thank you for this little memorabilia. It really means the world to me.
That was nice. A small thing for us, but invaluable to him. He probably didn't even know René had the photo. Yes, we are both very sorry for your loss.
It is what it is. Part of life, really. But to know someone for 79 years, then one day they're just gone. I just don't know anymore. About anything, really. But you must need something. René wasn't really what you'd call a botanist, officer. And believe me, he didn't like Insulindian lilies. That's their old name, dating back to the time of kings and crests, and all that other stuff he loved so much. There were many reasons, but mostly it was the communards. They called them the Bells of Revolution. I guess in the end, the Insulindian lilies were just another piece of the whole Insulinde. The royalists had to surrender to the Mazovian insurgents. It doesn't really matter anymore. Yes? What about René? Yes. We all got to go sometime, officer. Everyone I love is already there. Probably waiting for me. I'm not afraid to die. It's been a good run, and I really miss my friends.
We are both very sorry for your loss. Death of a friend is a terrible thing.
It is what it is. Part of life. But I just don't know anymore. About...
Hello, compatriotes.
This is the night watchman's booth. The name on the door reads, René Arnaud. René left his uniform neatly folded on the table. Take it. It's just there. Who cares? It's not like anyone's gonna need it. Generally speaking, it would be dishonorable to take it. But then, it looks like a military uniform, and wearing that is very honorable. So, a conflict of honor. It's up to you.
I suppose René is not going to be needing it anymore. It's a bit too colorful for my taste, though. Fantastic. Try not to wear it with other similarly colorful clothes, okay?
Hello again.
The device is still warm from her touch and heavy as a brick from the batteries inside. The company logo, Omicron, adorns its yellow plastic cover. Inside, the tape is rolling. The girl looks at the device in your hands. She looks you in the eye, her pupils wide, surrounded by a ridiculous amount of makeup. The wind howls. She remains silent. It's real. Tell her.
What is? I know. I'll stick to it.
Something changes between you two. She looks at you differently now. as an equal, a fellow human being.
So thanks, I guess, for the psych session. Maybe I can return it. What's been eating you, officer? Come on, I can tell. But, okay. Be a boyadero about it if you want to. What is it? Oh, really? Wow, social justice really matters that much to you. That's commendable. It really had you shaken up there. Are you sure that's it, though? Yeah, man, they're pretty bad.
$3.6 billion, not counting those in sale.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. Are you sure you're not just hung up on some chick, though?
Perhaps.
Okay. Why'd you think that? Wow, man. That's pretty symbolic. Don't you think? Okay. What else? There you have it then, chick trouble. Not political after all. Who was she? Really? You seem to be pretty upset about this chica. Are you sure you don't remember anything about her? Wow, man. That's some pretty strange shit. Are you sure the letters were for you? How come you don't remember, though? Is it like some selective memory thing? Man, when I get hurt, I just want to forget that shit, you know? That kind of selective memory. Yeah, or it might be that. This one time I did so much booze that I forgot too.
It's obvious she's done more than booze.
Or it might just be some psych bullshit, you know? Königstein wank. You know, the psych thing they've got going on there. Rich people like it. People in Königstein are mostly rich. You're welcome. Might be for the best to keep that shit forgotten though. Just my opinion. If it itches, don't scratch.
Yes, but it itches really, really bad.
Yes, what is it?
Interesting. A police officer trying to evict a citizen from a public space despite the Wayfarer Act. It's the Wayfarer Act again. You can't just throw citizens out of public spaces, at least not legally.
Yes, thank you. Now, if you'd only let me work. I don't want to make anything work. Yes, anything. I don't want to make anything work.
It's not the anodic dance music that's made her bitter. It's the failure of Fortress Accident.
That's right. If we couldn't get our Welkins to happen, I don't want anything to happen. Ever again.
There's not a trace of irony in her voice. she means it. Easy. When her research is done, she can move out.
What? No, I don't really need any help with the project.
She thinks about it, a glassy look in her eyes. A gust of wind brings more snow in from the broken gallery. It touches her hair.
All right. Bring me the game's offsite copy from my old workspace, if you really want to help. It's stored on a filament memory, and I'm unable to go and fetch it myself. It's a backup of my former employer's project, the radio game we were working on. It's stored on a filament memory, just like the one inside this radio computer.
She's making it extra simple for you.
The backup itself is destroyed now, but I'm hoping to use what's left of it to pinpoint the exact location of the anomaly. You just have to go to my old workspace and get the filament.
Hold on. If it's called an off-site copy, then why is it still on-site?
Oh god, not this again. It is not on-site. It is in the basement. Perfectly safe and not connected to the front at all.
Basement? Sounds like it's technically still on-site.
And no, taking it outside the building wouldn't have protected it from the data loss. There's nothing wrong with keeping the backup in the basement. What happened was a freak accident that has nothing to do with how the backup was stored. We clear?
This is clearly a painful topic for her. She must have had to explain herself numerous times.
Yeah, that's the one. You can get in through the bookshop. You just have to do some explaining to the bookstore lady. That's her name, I believe. Good. Then you might know the giant ice bear fridge in the building's cellar. The filament is inside the fridge. Just go and get it. In the giant ice bear fridge. I just told you. It has red glowing eyes. It's impossible to miss. You just need to get the offsite copy from the ice bear.
But you've been to the fridge and it wasn't there. There was a note saying...
Wait. A note from whom? Did it specify where they took the filament memory? Jawiza. Of course. Our project lead, Suliswov Jawiza. God, he was always so hell-bent on keeping the copy somewhere safe. And feature creep, and the Valley of the Heads. Like it would have made a difference. The offsite copy was perfectly safe when the data loss happened. That data loss was anomalous. And the heads... I won't even get into the heads. Millions of them. Go find that copy from that ice cream maker, will you? Thanks.
Valley of 1,000 Heads. You like the sound of that.
This is getting ridiculous. Can't you just defrost it? Or, I don't know. I don't know about the ice cream maker. Just figure something out.
There's a solution, but she doesn't want to hand it over to you yet. It's a thing. Something she holds dear.
Wait, what? Whose dead body?
You know, we don't actually have to tell the entire world about the fridge.
Whose body is it? And what is it doing in the fridge?
It's almost as if she feels some sort of ownership of the fridge.
You put it there? You put a dead body inside the ice bear fridge. Okay. Very cool. Thanks for keeping me in the loop.
We would appreciate it if you kept this knowledge to yourself, miss.
Who would I tell? My mother? I don't have anyone to tell. And if I did, I wouldn't. I don't care. The bookstore lady hates me. Says I'm part of the curse. Whatever that means. Of course not. Anyway, I don't have my keys anymore and she won't let me in. Because she's from Martinez, and people from Martinez have never ever seen a radio computer. She thinks it emits elemental evil. No. She literally started praying for the higher powers when she first saw my Rain Civic. I'm not making this up.
The lieutenant coughs like he's amused.
Once I came in one morning, only to find that my terminal was full of those strange trinkets and amulets. Wards. It looked like some Semenine magic. Thanks. And here's my Qualsund multitool. You might need it to hack loose some ice. It opens everything. If you get me the offside copy, then you can keep the Qualsund.
It hurts a bit for her to say this. She's not too happy to be parting with the Kvalsund. The mother of humanism stands above you, a precious and why? That does seem to be a problem. Maybe you meant something else? The mother of human. An old door, worn by elements, guards the depot. The wind has blown a sand dune in front of it. The door hasn't been opened in a long while. You see a handle.
It's military, a service depot of some sort. The washerwoman mentioned a depot up the coast. She said it was for moving ammo and cargo across the bay. This might be it. From here to the whirling, I can't see how. The church is in the way.
An old door, worn by elements, guards the depot. The wind has blown a sand dune in front of it. The door hasn't been opened. You rattle the handle a bit, then push on the door with all your weight. It does not budge. Not only is it locked, it's also jammed shut.
We don't get in there. Frankly, you're just going to have to accept the fact that you can't get in through every single door.
No. We've gotten into every door thus far. That's what we do. We open doors. We're cops. That's our perk. Even Everard knew that's a part of our MO.
Yeah, I understand you. I like opening doors as much as the next guy. But this one is simply beyond repair and we don't have the resources needed to open it. Relax, no one's hiding in there. If we can't open it, others can't either. And thus they can't get in.
At least you can think about opening it, about doors in general. They are, after all, fundamental to your life. Perhaps something useful will come from this. A familiar apparatus lies among the reeds, another one of Morel's traps, weighed down by stones to keep it in place. The reeds sway in the coastal breeze. They seem to be waiting for something. The wind picks up here, near the cape's end, surrounding the narrow strip of land from 3 cardinal directions. It's cold for this time of year. This trap is also full of panicked locusts. No sign of any cryptozoological beast inside.
Another empty trap. Yep. The next one has a crab trapped in it. These are just crab traps, you do realize?
Is there something here that would indicate a sniper used this place as a nest for taking the shot? Just some urban detritus, a bottle, and a dilapidated old comms tower. The wind picks up. Fine sea foam lashes your face. It feels like needles. You can take it. Just raise your collar, detective.
I don't see it, Lieutenant W. Freitor. I don't see a person take a shot here and hit something there. In the whirling in rags. To warm his hands before pulling the trigger? Perhaps, but anyone could have made this. The coast is specked with fires this time of year. Truthfully, this seems like a very poor choice to take a 1.2 kilometer rifle shot from. Visibility is awful. There's water vapor everywhere. I think we can rule out biddable prime, was it? It's not possible to climb that ladder. And even if it were, why? There's no platform up there to aim from.
He looks like he's cold out here at the tip of the coast. The jacket is warm, but not for this weather.
I'm okay. You, on the other hand, Freitor, you look like you're about to turn into a popsicle. Absolute idiocy. Those? A smoking assailant who favors Tumutiri to Astra or Joan? Cigarette butts are everywhere. This is a common brand for all men.
Tumutiri was a Revacholian colony on Ilmaran. The suzerainty's population was mostly Ilmaran Areopagites, up to 97%. The region was known for its tobacco export, hence the name. Oh, you do? The butts you saw had a silhouette of a boy wearing a coffee hat, a tobacco picker. This boy is the Tumutiri brand logo. Contemporary Revacholians prefer Juan, a local blend from the southern islands, or Astra, a legendary cigarette from Grad. Tumutiri is favored by older men who like its old-fashioned paper filter tips, insane amount of tar, and the sweet smells of colonialism and halva. There, 1.2 kilometers over the cold water of the bay, blue from the distance and the air, you see the smallest rectangle, barely visible. A glowing light on the 3rd floor of the whirling in rags. With binoculars, you would see a young woman's shape move behind the glass, her limbs long and slender. You pick up the handset. There's a tone. The machine is operable. Calling. Still calling. Again? Seriously? Someone with a masculine voice picks up.
Hello, Gerard speaking.
Hello, Gerard. Technically speaking, you're electricity. No, what you are is a surprise. Get his wife on the phone.
Who is this? Who the fuck do you think you are talking to me like that? Just tell me what's going on here. Bien, come here.
The sounds are muffled. You can make out two people, a man and a woman called Bien. They're talking to each other in agitated voices. There's a shuffle of feet. Children, maybe. Amid the howling in the wire, you make out a woman's voice with a thick Samaran accent. Gerard, this is a joke. Someone is making a joke. More shouting. You're pretty sure you hear a man saying fuck several times. Then the crackle in the phone line gets violently louder, like the surf breaking. You hear a faint thud. You could swear you're hearing furniture falling over. You can't make out a single word, just vague voices. One more, a child has joined. Something breaks or falls over. Footsteps approaching. Something hits the phone with a loud crack of plastic and microphone hiss. After that, you are left with the disconnect tone.
What the hell are you doing? Big deal? Let's just go. I've had enough of this phone booth.
There's some tear, an empty... The remaining windows rattle from a strong gust of wind. They're covered in a thick layer of grime. They must have been like this for 40 years. Dripping water falls from a high place. All you can see is the shadow of a collapsing staircase.
No, I won't even try. You know, I had a partner once. They called him Eyes, because he had to show me things. It's that bad.
This partner of his, Eyes, things didn't end well. It saddens him to say his name. Don't even ask. He wouldn't answer. Maybe some other small talk.
Well enough, actually. It's odd how that works. I'm no sharpshooter, but I passed my shooting courses 7 out of 10.
And Mikhail noticed the windows, especially with how there are no windows on the south side. This was to deal with. You officers, come to investigate the historic subtext of West Martinez? I'm Tran Heilostam. You must be Kim Kitsuragi, right? I was just telling my son about this building. Not a lot of people realize the historic significance here. Very rich in hypertext.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, hypertext. Young Carp and the collection of cultural hyperlinks. Oh yes, so Mikhail. They had to deal with monitor glare, especially in the summer. They still had vector monitors back then. That was 49 years ago. So they didn't have windows on the south wall. No, I can't say that we've met before, but I've heard of Kim, of course. Mikhail, say hi to the officers. Mikhail's a little tired today. We spent all night trying to run Orbis on his radio computer. Have you heard of it? It's a programming language used in Grad. Quite tricky, but he wanted to play this Grad-made adventure program. We've been getting really into Worms lately.
The man speaks in the artificial cadence of a professor, or someone who's been on too many radio shows.
But I assume you're not here for giant worms when there are so many real things to see. Just as I was telling Mikhail before, this is where the Coalition landed in '08. We could be standing on what is the most interesting landmark in Revachol West.
Wow, get a load of this guy. He really enjoys his trivia. The Orbis programming language was named after its inventor, Victor Orbis, a cybernetician from Grad. They run Vox in the Occidental countries.
No, I'm afraid I can't help you with this one, officer. It's just a regular day off for me and Mikhail here.
So you haven't seen anyone around?
No, I'm sorry. As I said, this is just a day off. We just arrived anyway.
There's something friendly and familiar in how he says that. A day off. He's telling the truth. He hasn't seen anyone.
Aha! But it's not just any empty old building. What not a lot of people know is this used to be the R&D department of Felt Electrical. And Felt, which now sells ink cartridges mostly, was once a top dog in the turn-of-the-century cybernetics boom.
It looks old and weathered, with seagulls picking apart its stone and metal carcass. Bushy undergrowth has taken hold of the collapsed rooftop. Some kind of bird has set up a nest on a broken windowsill.
That's not surprising. Only a vestigial ink cartridge and ferrotape manufacturer remains. They started out as a midway electronics outfit in Königstein 2 centuries ago. After an aggressive move to Revachol, Feld became a global player in the emerging personal electronics market of the pre-revolutionary era. Still, Tricentennial was beating them in business machines. But Feld had an ace up their sleeve, or should I say they were developing an ace up their sleeve. I'm mixing my metaphors here. It was here in Martinez, possibly in this very building, that they developed prototypes for a tape computer. An elegant folding mechanism of rollers and ferrotape ribbons, portable enough to be a take-it-home solution, revolutionizing business machines, possibly even bring them to the average consumer, which is a feat of engineering even today's giants, Rehm, ICN and ZAM, haven't achieved yet.
He assumes something like a combat stance, facing the wind.
Indeed. What?
The revolution!
Unfortunately, their moonshot project never made it to the market. Feld's move to Revachol backfired. The revolutionary government liquefied their assets and expropriated those very advanced prototypes. Possibly from this very building, or one of the adjacent ruins. All of this was built by Feld, even the boardwalk. Wild Pines built Martinez proper as a resort for their middle management. Feld built this side of town for R&D. Yes, they even built a pleasure wheel, but that got destroyed in the war.
A pleasure wheel?
Perhaps reminded of a childhood memory. It's clear he would prefer there were a big wheel lighting up the coast.
Yes, to lure in their star engineers. This part of Martinez was nothing but reeds before Feld arrived. They had to make the prospect of living here attractive. It was supposed to become a global center for innovation in cybernetics. But history had other plans. Oh, I'm afraid it didn't end well for the boys. But this story is a bit too dark for little Mikhail here. Now, if you were to ask about tape computers...
He means that the boys got shot by the communists. The boys were bourgeois.
Officer, I told you this chapter of history wasn't on Mikhail's curriculum yet. Let's keep this kid friendly.
The boy looks first at you, then back at his father, confused.
They used them for military communications, but also to write and send out press releases, the most notorious example being Le Décret de Mars. What's the Mars Decree? I mean the radio transmission sent out to news agencies and world governments by the newly created commune of Revachol on the 7th of March in the year 02.
A short-lived legislative foundation for a short-lived utopia.
It's a beautiful piece of text, actually. A singer-songwriter I know, Charette, called it a love poem to Revachol on her political concept album, Bon Baiser dans ce Lind. You should read it. Every local library in Revachol stocks a copy of the decree. I tried to get Mikhail to memorize it. Tried to. Someone was much too interested in worms to be paying any attention.
The kid takes a peek at the green and silver worm on the cover of the book, already forgetting about this part of the discussion.
Actually, no one knows. No one even knows what a computer made entirely of tape would look like. But word has it, they were very elegant, exquisite, alien-looking turn-of-the-century hardware.
Buckle up.
10 years ago, I did a little freelancing, I guess you could say. I was a special consultant for an exhibition at the Womty Dumpty Dum Center in Vredefort, Oranje. It raised the same questions, and we had lengthy discussions with Paul Ockerman, who was head curator at the time. This was before the twins Keith and Guy Jews joined the team, trying to...
Wait, did he just say Wumpty Dumpty Dum Center? He did it. He said Wumpty Dumpty Dum Center, like it's the most natural thing in the world. What the hell is a Wumpty Dumpty Dum Center? And who the hell are Keith and Guy Yost?
The Wumpty Dumpty Dum Center for Contemporary Art. The exhibition itself drew on Lagerman's notion of memory, and so there were some parallels. That's why the head curator, Paul Ockerman, chose to... In fact, I'm not. The Wumpty Dumpty Dum Center is a place you can visit if you're ever in Vredefort and are ever in the market for an exhibition space / contemporary art research center. But perhaps I should return to the tape computers. As I was saying, the device itself was very elegant, fragile even. One could write directly on the tape using a special chemical solution. The machine would then analyze the handwriting, perform operations, and project output onto a white screen. It was a beautiful, delicate thing.
Made of black film and folding tape structures.
Very, very cool. Though I understand the socio-economic causes of the revolution, it pains me to imagine the revolutionaries setting fire to this precious device. But so they did. The Feld playback experiment vanished into the fires of 07. Yes, the official name of the prototype. Some sources report it as the Feld playback experience, but those are incorrect. Who knows? Maybe it was an accident, or maybe they didn't want the technology to end up in the wrong hands. Either way, they're all gone now. All 3 versions of the prototype. Nothing but debris and ashes remain inside that building. But of course, what else? I do have some money, yes, but that's not what's really important here.
He's not gonna give you money. What are you doing? Clearly you were just profiling. No, I mean, come on. You need the money. If it's not a thing, he can give you some.
Oh no, I don't have it on me, officer. I was talking in more general terms. I'm just spending time with my kid here, showing him around the lesser-known parts of our hometown. It wouldn't be wise to carry huge amounts of cash on such expeditions.
Not that he would have to worry about being robbed. He looks surprisingly buff. Does he work out?
I do some Lomantang stick fighting now and then.
Lo Mantang stick fighting is a form of martial arts originating from the island of Lo Mantang. It uses slender wooden sticks for confronting the opponent.
Actually, a great many cultures have their own version of stick fighting, such as the sacred Mabolo tradition of the Harli people, the name deriving from the butterfruit tree traditionally used for crafting the long, slender sticks, whereas the sticks used in other cultures...
You doze off as he paints you a comprehensive picture of the history of stick fighting among mankind, seasoning it with unexpected pop culture references. Man, he's good at speaking. People must love him.
But anyway, I'm boring you with details again. You were saying? Then I guess everything got said, right? No, thanks to you for having me and little Mikael here to pick your brain. A very interesting conversation indeed.
Pick your brain? If anything, this was rather one-sided. He did the talking. Whatever. You see a once bright mural towering above you. The signage has peeled off over the years, but you can still make out Feld Electrical R&D. A slogan used to intertwine with the loops a long time ago. Now, only a shadow of peeled letters remains. It says, "Tomorrow is just a whisper away." Above the mural, a collapsed roof, broken windows set in walls that are cracking and will soon also fall, and the coastal breeze rustling and sighing in the remains of the edifice. Feld Electrical, you only know them as a small company that makes ink cartridges. Looks like they used to be big. There's something in the wind. Sometimes the only way to go forward is to fail first. Indeed, somehow you knew it was here, an urban ruin gutted by looters that once used to consume money and dispense warmth and light.
In there? She could. Or she could be in the identical ruin over there, or in that boat shack, in that church tower, maybe.
Why single out this one building? The once bright mural towers above you, saying, Feld Electrical, R&D. Tomorrow, suddenly, all is quiet. There is no cold hand brushing against your forehead, no rustle in the reeds. The wind has died down or gone behind a corner. You only hear distant waves washing the coast. The ruin in front of you is silent as a tomb. Trying to talk to the wind, the city, whatever you thought would happen did not, and now you're just standing there in the pale of the morning with your hands fallen to your side. Is trying to talk to the city something you've done before? Is it in your secret repertoire? A trick for when you're out of ideas?
How do we? I was really hoping she'd be in the village. Okay. She's probably north of the village, and this place is a peninsula. We've already talked to the cryptozoologists. Working with them might give us a good excuse to run around, give us some structure. And then there's the church. We've already searched that and can rule it out. I know it doesn't feel like progress, but exclusion is a step too. Anyway, we do it the old-fashioned way, sector by sector. Go over the whole peninsula, ask the locals, enter the places where we can enter first, like we did in the village. Then, if we're desperate, we can look where we can't enter. Bunkers, tomb drainage, this place. I'm sure it won't come to that.
Walk the coast, the old boardwalk, the reeds. You can always come back here and talk to the wind again. Look where it already got you. An adventure awaits. An adventure on the windswept urban coast. Buckle up and raise your collar. This search is going to be wet and cold. This is the trap Morel just set. Checking it over, he said, is just a technicality. But the reeds by the abandoned campsite hiss and shake. It's good the cryptozoologists left. This isn't a very cozy place to stay night after night. The later it gets, the colder. Remnants of the camp can still be seen in the sand. The fire that's gone out. You feel strange, somehow. Nothing but locusts in this trap as well. Definitely no cryptozoological monstrosity.
Empty as all of them. One more of these and we're done. I'm just glad we haven't found some poor cat trapped in one of these.
A metal and plastic contraption bobs up and down amidst the trembling reeds. At first, it just looks like trash, but if you look closer...
That over there must be the boy class you told us about. The one she hid her passport in. We should take...
Ooh, hidden things, secrets, lies. You lift the boy out of the water without much effort. It's not tied to anything. The cords dangling from the bottom appear to have been cut. The number 11 has been written on the yellow plastic. It hasn't been in the water for very long, but it's already discolored and slimy with silt. A latch holds it close, but only just barely. The brittle metal of the latch has cracked.
Simple construction. Very unsafe.
There's something in there, splashing around. It smells like you would expect it to smell. A concentrated version of the coast. Salt, industrial slop and decay. A shot glass's worth of seawater pours out. Some algae, and nothing else.
Well, Damn. We still got here too late. There's nothing of use here anymore. I have no idea. Or think we do. This is a small loose end, either way. Not important, I hope. Could be. We should keep an eye out. Nothing more for us to do here. Let's go.
You could ask the miss what she thinks, later if you have the time, though you doubt she'll tell you much at this point. It takes you a moment, but finally you spot the last of Morel's traps. This one's partially obscured by the reeds. Behind you, the ruins of a residential building rise over the reeds, shielding them from the wind. The reeds rustle confidently. When this district was booming, the reeds were kept at bay. Nothing obscured the freshly painted facades. Nowhere for drunks and adventurous teenagers to hide. Now only the wind blows. The trap feels light and silent as you pick it up. Something is different here. No locust. No phasmid either, but still. Your voice echoes on the coast, carried by a gust of cold wind.
Well, the bait worked on something. This doesn't mean it was a reed monster, though. Unless you see one in there. I just see an empty trap.
The netting is a little untidy, messier than the others, like someone or something picked up the trap and shook it before dropping it back down on the ground.
Perhaps our cryptozoologists have competition in the form of an actual entomologist, or someone else is sabotaging them. I could present more theories, but then I would be taking this on as a case, which I'm not. Right. Anyway, that's for the cryptozoologists to figure out now. We are not cryptozoologists. We are cops.
A cold gust of air dries your sweaty face, and you look to the dark shadow of the felled building in the distance, drawing you to it. What a strange sensation. Once this is done, should you ask the wind again? A scattering of bullet holes is spread across the cracked wall, reaching from one corner to the other. A scattering of bullet holes is spread across the cracked wall, reaching from one corner, unable to piece together the big picture just now. There's a hole in their hypothesis. The scattering of bullet holes looks like one giant... The once bright mural towers above you, saying, Feld Electrical, R&D. Suddenly, there's a sigh, carried on the molecules around you, moving, flowing from high pressure to low pressure, like that of a woman emptying her lungs. She wraps the collapsing stone box in front of you in her breath, flowing through it. In through the collapsed roof, flowing down a concrete staircase to the basement, sweeping away footprints in the dust on the stairs, and then the beach below the boardwalk, its winding tunnels, a whisper away.
She's down there.
Okay, why? So, how do we get in there? The doors were on the collapsed side of this building. They're gone, basically.
Finally, my time to shine.
Perhaps you can climb them. We are not climbing anything. I'm 43 years old, and I plan to live to see 70.
Out from beneath the rotting boards of the boardwalk. Could this be an alternative path into the Feld building? Your eyes slowly begin to adjust to the darkness inside the drainage pipe. The lieutenant looks over your shoulder. An ordinary drainage pipe. Darkness. As your eyes adjust, you see some trash. Crumpled up newspapers, cigarette butts. Someone has half-heartedly spray-painted skulls on the right side. And nothing. Broken glass from bottles thrown against the walls of the pipe. A syringe.
Given that this isn't a martial arts thriller, it's highly unlikely, and not without risk to our health either. However, the pipe suggests there may be an entrance to the basement around... And it's right here. A maintenance door.
Oh yeah, big boy time. This needs you to put your back into it. Behind the pipe, the maintenance door, rusted shut and half sunken in sand. You and the lieutenant lean all your weight into pushing the doors apart, but you're not quite synchronizing your efforts. They slam shut again before you can enter.
Let's take a breather and try this again later. It's very tough.
A rusty ladder leads to the rooftop. Some of the rungs are missing.
Yeah, that doesn't look good at all.
The distances between the remaining rungs are rather wide. You'd have to use the mounting brackets. However, they seem corroded and the peeling rust is razor sharp. In addition, the first rung is going to be tough to reach. It's what, 3 meters above the ground, and you're 180? Not to mention that the roof is collapsing and the wind gets pretty brutal up there. Dismounting from the ladder is going to be hard. Perhaps if you were to not climb the ladder. Instead, what if you were to do something more subtle? What if you were to reconceptualize climbing the ladder? Astral projection. Be open-minded about this.
Teleportation is not a thing. This really has nothing to do with adventure. We are dealing with basic physics here. Oh yes, it could hurt a lot.
He is restraining himself from using a parental tone with you right now. The rusty ladder leads to the rooftop. All you need to do is close your eyes and concentrate. Darkness enfolds you. You can feel the distance between the bench and the first rung of the ladder. All you need to is... Zoot, zap, pow, crinkle! It's like magic. You feel yourself disappear. Your atoms fading out of existence.
Oh my god, I can't believe it.
Bam! You find yourself on the roof, having mastered the art of physical displacement.
I just saw you climb the ladder. You just climbed it like a regular person.
No, not like a regular person. Like a phase spider. The wind at the top of the building starts howling loudly, blowing away the lieutenant's voice. Faintly you hear.
Never mind. Find a way to let me in when you get inside. Don't go adventuring without backup, especially if we think the suspect may be hiding here.
Two rusty metal plates that slide apart form a crude door. It's been here under the boardwalk for a while.
What do you mean, who's there? It's me, Kim. Stop playing around and help me get this door open.
it's much easier from this side. The panels on the rails, once you dust the sand off, with the help of your partner, from the other side, the door opens with a creak.
Huh. I hope no one dangerous heard that. Yes, time to investigate these passages. Let's move quietly and not make more sound.
Not running is a great way to do that. Could this have been the killer's hideout? And this narrow window, the point of origin of the shot that killed the mercenary? Outside the window, the day is clear, and as mild as can be in early spring.
It's a great place to hide, certainly, but there hasn't been anyone here in ages. Indeed, no one could get a clear view. Well, at least we've been thorough. I like thorough.
The lieutenant's voice betrays a slight disappointment, which he glosses over by reasserting control. A mustachioed and mutton-chopped man, amateurishly depicted, gazes at you with sad eyes. A plaque reads, K. Mazov. There is a spiderweb in the lower left corner of the portrait. Years' worth of dust is shaken off. The full head of hair, matched by an ample moustache and sideburns, look a bit silly. Someone crouches, heels digging into wet sand. Hands sweep across the sand, grains sticking to the frayed skin of the fingertips. An old man sits on a slab of concrete and taps his fingers against the glass of a scope. You shudder.
Yes, I can see that. Looks like some communists were hiding out here. They left a long time ago.
The lieutenant does not seem to share your enthusiasm.
Half a century? This was probably part of the network of defense posts the communards built against the amphibious landing. I think the purpose of this bunker was to produce propaganda. It would have had radio equipment back then, but that's all been looted. We have found a lot of those lately. I guess what most people think of as history tends to linger in rundown neighborhoods. Martinez being what it is, no one has gone through the trouble of cleaning out the old bunkers.
Good hiding place for someone who's up to no good.
I won't stand in your way, but only after we're through with this case. Millions of depictions of Mazov have been produced. They're not all connected. Besides, that looked like some student. The youths always go for this kind of stuff. You mean like Ruby? No, I think we've stumbled on a piece of history.
There it is again, like a swarm of hornets buzzing under your scalp. A strange tingling you can almost smell.
No, what do you mean? I don't feel it, but we should still be careful. There were footprints back there, and I'm pretty sure they were fresh. No, but you are the sensitive one. Looks like our suspect. If she's in here, we need to plan our next step carefully. Once we detain a credible suspect, who knows what the Union and the Wild Pines will do? We'll set in motion events we have no control over.
You will upset the balance of power in Martinez. The deadlock between the company and the Union will destabilize. Keep calm. Go over the whole situation in detail.
You're right. However corrupt he may be, nothing happens in Martinez without him knowing. We might have to dirty our hands, but...
In this case, we can't afford to be squeaky clean.
Yes, there won't be time for that once things go down. Matter of fact, I don't think there's time for it now, but...
If you must.
Okay, why not? Whatever goes down might also affect her. The Union is watching her closely now.
Not closely enough, you suspect, but still, good idea to visit her once more.
You mean Morel? I don't see how cryptozoology and the murder investigation are connected, but the situation in the city will get tense for everyone.
If it gets that tense, the amateur zoologists might not be able to do their job.
Well, we are not responsible for what we can't predict, are we? I don't think the entire city will be razed to the ground.
If you can't predict it, there's nothing you could have done.
I think I see a cavern. Maybe more cellars? I think we've been careful enough. We still have the element of surprise.
I wouldn't be so sure. You haven't exactly been sneaking.
Or maybe not. Either way, once we go deeper, there will be no turning back.